It's time for a little comedy, a little content, and a lot of conversation. It's the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube. Now here's your host, Geno Jones.
It's showtime. What's happening, everybody? Yep, you figured it out. Come on. You can read. I know he's saying, Geno, we can see. We can read. It's time for the Geno Jones Show. Or it's showtime. So I come to you live Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. if you're in Chicago or maybe St. Louis, Memphis, Houston, Dallas, New Orleans. 3:30 p.m. out on the West Coast, out in the City of Angels, Los Angeles, San Diego, the Bay Area, up in Seattle, or Portland, Oregon. Shout out to my firstborn, Lauren, Shiana Hill Vaughn, and Jonathan, my son-in-law, and Brooklyn the Bulldog. We love everybody. We love Brooklyn and our dog. We love Teddy, and we love our cat who's in Chicago with my baby girl, Allie, Minx the Lynx. So, yes, I guess you figured out we are animal lovers here in the Jones household. So today, 77 days until the midterm elections. Now, I need to tell you something. I need you, and you need to do this for you and for all of us, because we're all in this together. Either we will save this democracy or we'll watch it turn into a dictatorship. These are binary choices. Binary means one of two. No middle ground. We're going to save democracy. And while I'm here, not to mention the blood, sweat, and tears that my ancestors, my grandfather who served in World War I, and all my relatives that served in virtually every branch of the military. So what I'm going to need you to do, what you need to do with 77 days until the midterm elections, is to check your voter registration status. Because folks who don't believe in a democracy, who don't believe that people that look like me should have any say, shouldn't have any power, shouldn't have the right to vote, basically want to return us, instead of being in 2022, take us back to 1822, where you weren't even considered a full human and you had no rights that any white person had to respect or observe. You know, that was like a paragraph written in the law here in America. The Dred Scott decision. Basically, the main sentence that no black person, no Negro had any rights that a white man had to, I'm paraphrasing, respect, observe, honor. No, the original Constitution said that we were 3/5 human. Africans were 3/5 of a human. And the original Constitution, it didn't even talking about misogyny and sexism. It didn't, there's nowhere, don't take my word for it, Google the original Constitution. And when you see woman, female, lady, girl, anywhere in the original Constitution, holler at me. I'll wait. No, I won't wait. But Google it, look for it. You won't see it in there. So trust me, there are people who want to take us back to 1822. And really, I want to make sure the only people that really can vote and have any say and any power are wealthy white men, right? And it's funny. So why does this sound familiar? Oh, when you talk about that Constitution where it said the only people who could vote were wealthy white male landowners. Wealthy white male landowners. Yes, late 1700s, when the original Constitution was written by a group of old white dudes who were all landowners and they owned slaves. So they didn't just own land, they were enslavers. Slaves couldn't vote because they were 3/5 human. Women weren't even mentioned. Women were considered property. Now, not like black folks were, but women were considered property. So, and you start with taking the voting rights away, because when you take a person's right to determine who their leaders are going to be politically, and the leaders that will not just protect them, but that will pass laws that will make their lives and the lives of their children and grandchildren better, then start with taking your right to vote, making it hard to vote, kicking your name off the voter rolls, making it a felony in Georgia if you are standing in line to vote on a hot summer or fall day, because they've closed down significant numbers of polling places where people vote in black neighborhoods. So that means if you are a black person living in Georgia, you might stand in line for 5, 6, 7, 8 hours. So your elderly mom or dad or grandparent who can barely stand up, or maybe they are on oxygen, maybe they are in a wheelchair, on a walker, they got to stand in the hot sun. And it's a felony for someone to give your mother or your grandfather a bottle of water to keep them from passing out or from having a heat stroke, a heat exhaustion, or can't give them food if they're diabetic and maybe they've been standing outside too long and they need another meal. Yes, it's a felony in Georgia, where you've got Senator Raphael Warnock, Reverend Senator Raphael Warnock, running against that fool dumbass Herschel Walker. Just an embarrassment. Not only is he an embarrassment to black folks, he's an embarrassment to his mama and his daddy, his whole family. I digress. I'm not going to waste any time talking about Herschel Walker. And you got Stacey Abrams, who was really robbed in 2018. She ran for governor. She's running again against a dude who was running for governor. But at the time when he ran for governor, Governor Bryant, he was in charge of counting the votes. Guess how many black people? Guess how many people he kicked off? And a majority of them were black, over 600,000. And a majority of those people were black, over 600,000. Now he's in charge of counting the votes and making sure, or determining who can vote, and monitoring the program. But he's running for the office that he's going to count the votes. Sound like a conflict of interest to me, to you? I know it does to me. So the point I'm trying to make, listen, we got to take this thing serious. Because if you don't have any right to vote, all the other rights that we take for granted, like right now, my 2 daughters are less freer in America than their grandmother was. My daughters actually have less rights than their grandmother. Something wrong with that. They start with voting rights. They take your civil rights, and then people can decide, well, you know what? We don't want to serve black people in this restaurant. We don't want your black children going to our white school. We don't want you riding on public transportation, but if you do, you got to sit in the back. We don't want to give you a loan because you're black. We don't think that you're worthy, and we don't think you'll pay your bills even if you got the money. So, and if we give you credit, it's going to be double that of what you would pay if you were white. Or if you got a home, we'll appraise your home at half the value that your white neighbor's home appraises for. Because that's happening. Actually, that's happening right now. But if you think it's bad now, like I said, Bobby Womack did the song, Patti LaBelle did it too. If you think you're lonely now, if you think you're lonely now, just wait until tonight, and wait until the midterm elections in November. If you think it's bad and you don't turn out and vote, so check your voter registration status, because you got folks out of state. There's some states that will allow total strangers who don't even live in that state to challenge you as a voter and to get you kicked off the voting rolls. In Georgia, they've got that kind of law on the books right now. And you could be kicked off the voter rolls and not know about it and show up on election day or show up to vote early, and you're like, I've been voting here for 20 years, but you got kicked off and nobody told you about it. Games people play, and they're playing games, but they're playing games for keeps because they want to take this country back to 1822, 1722. Now, I might sound hyperbolic to you. You might think I'm being overly dramatic. I'm telling you, I'm giving you straight, no chaser. I'm giving you the Bacardi 151 with no Coca-Cola. No Coke chaser, straight Bacardi, straight 151. Not even on the rocks. The ice ain't gonna dilute it. I'm giving it to you straight, hard, and true, no chaser. So make sure that you check your voter registration status, okay? And make sure you vote. I'm telling to all my young people, everybody. And I want you to take 20 people, 25 people with you. You're saying, Geno, 25? Yeah. Just like y'all go to a football game, you know, your college or university, when they have a homecoming, you show up in groups. Some of y'all show up in groups going to see Janet or Beyonce or Mary J. Blige or Chris Brown or Maxwell. I need you to show up like you're going to see Janet at the Essence Festival. I need you to show up like your alma mater is having their homecoming game and tailgating party. Or if you got a pro team in your city, I need you to show up like y'all show up for the Cowboys or the Steelers or the Raiders or the Bears or the Giants or the Rams or the Lakers or the Celtics. I need you to show up. You need to do it. Not just for you, but for your kids and your grandchildren. Even if you have grandchildren that are yet born, for their future. Because somebody did it. Our ancestors did it for us. So now we got the struggle. Shout out to the late Nipsey Hussle, my dude, Nipsey Hussle. That was a comedian. Shout out to my man, Nipsey Hussle. Rest in peace. He was a rapper on the West Coast, really was, really in the community, doing work, creating jobs, opening up businesses. They have a slogan, the marathon continues. Man, the hustle, the marathon continues. The marathon, the race, the hustle continues. The work continues. The work to protect our rights. And it starts with your voting rights. Because once again, I'm going to say it again, when you don't get to determine who your leaders are, and when leaders can pick who they want to represent, they're not going to pick you or me. If you look like me or if you are anti-racist, they're not going to pick it. Or if you're anti-hate and racism, anti-Semitism, anti-Muslim hate, anti-Mexican hate, homophobic, transphobic, misogynistic, sexist. If you are against all of that, they don't have your best day. Look, they're not representing you. They're being honest and open about it. See your boy, Governor Death Sentence, I call him, in Florida. Today is the big primary determining who's going to run against Ron DeSantis in Florida for that governor's position. You got Charlie Crist and I believe Nikki Free, woman there. So big day in Florida. Shout out to all my brothers and sisters in Florida, from Miami, from the 305 to Orlando to Tampa to Duval County, Jacksonville, and everywhere in between. Man, I need y'all to show up and show out. And to my Hispanic Latino brothers and sisters, this whole Hispanic Latino term was created. The Nixon administration, Nixon and some of his cabinet members came up with this term. Why did they do it? To pit us against each other. Because they knew there are a lot of Spanish-speaking black folks. Now, a lot of them don't want to claim it. You got Dominicans that's twice as dark as me. You got Puerto Ricans. You got Afro-Latino, Afro-Cubans, speak Spanish. The Dominican Republic island, like I said, Puerto Rico. So it was a plan because they knew if we all came together, like Brother Marcus Garvey was saying, the entire African diaspora, man, if they ever wake up and the folks that want to oppress us, they're like, oh my God, if they wake up and come together, if those of African descent over in the Americas, in the United States, in the Caribbean, oh my God, from Haiti to Jamaica to the Dominican Republic and Aruba and Puerto Rico, South America, Brazil, Chile, Colombia. Come on, man. If everybody that's part of that African diaspora, as they call it, come together with those who are still on the motherland, the continent of Africa, if they realize the power in that unity, it's been scaring folks. That's why they work so hard to pit us against us, just because we speak a different language, or we may come from a different country. Some of us are here in the United States, others are in the Caribbean, others in South America, others are on the continent of Africa. But we have that one thing in common. Come on, man. The game is for real, and they're playing for keeps. So we got to play for keeps too. So you got to make sure that you and everybody you know, folks that you don't even know, make sure you register to vote. Have a plan. Like y'all rent a party bus, going to a concert, or like I said, going to your homecoming game, or girls' night out, boys' night out. Y'all got the party bus, got the champagne and the food and hors d'oeuvres and everybody having a great time listening to music. That's what I'm gonna need you to do when it's time to vote. Or if maybe some of you all got these party buses, or shout out to these churches, okay? These churches that's got these nice buses, some air conditioned, some not, it doesn't matter. Put the bus to good use. Find out the elderly people or people who have a hard time getting around, maybe disabled, not just in your congregation, but in and around the community that surrounds your church. Find out who these people are who need help going to the polls. Maybe they don't have transportation or the money for transportation. Take them to the polls. And then you can have water and food on the bus. It ain't a felony for you to feed them on the bus or in a van. In Georgia, you just can't give them food or water while they are standing in line to vote. At least if you are less than 150 feet from the actual polling place where they vote. Oh, one last thing when it comes to voting, what I'm gonna need you all to do, sign up en masse, because the people that wanna oppress you are already doing it. I'm gonna need you to sign up to be poll watchers and poll workers, because you're gonna have people there that are poll watchers and some poll workers that's gonna try to intimidate you, challenge you as a voter. Oh, we're gonna talk about that a whole lot here on the Geno Jones Show. But since today is election day, primary election day in New York State and Florida, today, this is my monologue. It's serious. Gotta take it serious. Jermaine Jackson had a song, let's get serious. Let's get serious and fall in love. Well, fall in love is on you, but we better get serious and act like we love each other. United we stand, divided we fall. We'll learn to live together as brothers and sisters, or perish apart as fools. And that's really all of us, because we're all part of the human race. But it's some people that don't see it. It's a large segment of this country that don't see it. They've been brainwashed by this phony concept and construct called whiteness and race. I get into that in details. So go back and binge watch some episodes. Shout out to my number one fan. My mother's watching. Hello, Mother. How are you? So before I get out of here, I just want to say happy heavenly birthday to Kobe Bean Bryant. He was born on this day in 1978, so he would be 44 today. He died tragically. He and his 13-year-old daughter at the time, Gigi, she's playing in a basketball game in a tournament. The helicopter he was in, it crashed into a mountain in Southern California. Oh my God, can't believe that happened. 2 years ago. That was on January 26th. I'll never forget that day. 5-time NBA champion, 2-time Olympic gold medalist, easily one of the 10 greatest players in the history of the NBA. Brother went on to get an Academy Award for a documentary that he did. And in spite of what happened, in the middle part of his career, he was accused of rape up in Colorado. And basically, they felt they couldn't find enough evidence to convict him. And the brother, he was able to basically recover from that, his image. He was able to recover from that and become beloved, maybe even more than he was before that happened, which is rare for a black man that had that hanging over him. He was looking at serving serious time for rape in Colorado. This was a white girl that made these accusations. A black man, even, don't matter. You a black man and you get accused of a white woman? So, but no charges. He got out of that situation and became even more beloved as a basketball player and then as a girl dad and for what he was doing off the court, filmmaker, documentaries, and more. One of my favorite players of all time. As a matter of fact, there's only one other player that I bought a jersey for my daughters. Never bought one for me, but Allie, the baby girl, actually I bought her 2 Kobe jerseys. I bought her a number 24 jersey and a number 8 jersey. And the only other player that I bought a jersey for one of my daughters was a Jordan jersey. And I think I bought it for Boogie or maybe for Damaris. But so Kobe was my dude. And just his evolution, because he was a kid, he was 17. When he got drafted, he was 18, playing in the NBA. He couldn't hang out with his teammates. He couldn't hang out and go to nightclubs with them because he was 18. He couldn't, but he worked on his game. I know people that know him very well, a guest of the show, a member. He's a friend of the show. He's been a contributor. My man, Andre Russell. As a matter of fact, Dre was going to come on today, but he's in a promotions meeting at his radio station where I used to work and do a morning show out in Los Angeles, KJLH. So we miss you, Kobe. I miss you, dude. But your legacy and your memories, your magic, that black mamba mentality, just the black mamba is one of the most lethal snakes on the planet. And Kobe was lethal as a basketball player, he had that work ethic. So if you want to borrow anything from Kobe, borrow that sense of just having a lethal, not in a literal sense where you're killing somebody, but lethal in terms of just how focused you are with whatever your passion is. Always bet on yourself. Kobe did that. He bet on himself when he was 17. He knew how good he was going to be. When he came into the NBA, he thought he was better than he was, but he knew how good he was going to be because he was willing to put the work into it. And that's the key. Confidence is half the battle. Always bet on yourself. Always believe in yourself. Shut off the streaming service of the haters and the doubters and the people that tell you what you can't do and what you won't do, and you ain't never gonna be nothing because your mama wasn't nothing or your daddy your daddy wasn't nothing. That has nothing to do with you. You get to determine that. Your life, you are Look at your life like a movie. You're the screenwriter. You write the screenplay. You're the lead actor or actress. You're the head writer, producer, director. You get to direct this story. Editor. It's yours. You get to make the call. And regardless of what other people say or think about you, don't let, I always say when it comes to other people, I tell my daughters, if somebody says something negative, that's a you problem. So if you don't think that I'm gonna be great, that's a you problem. But I'm not gonna let a you problem, what you think of me, become a me problem. And for me, it's motivation. The more you tell me I can't, or I won't, or I'm not good enough, that is like jet fuel for me. And it has always fueled me, along with the one person who's always believed in me, even more than I believed in myself at times. And you've heard me talk about it if you watch this show. She's watching it right now, my mother, who's watching me right now. That's the one thing watching Kanye's documentary I really connected with, because his mother saw his greatness, but she did all she could to keep him grounded. And if you've seen, first of all, I would highly recommend you watch. It is a great documentary. It's been nominated for an Emmy. Shout out to the brothers from Chicago, Cootie, and I can't think of my other man's name. I got to get them on the show. Cootie was a comedian, and he became a filmmaker. And he saw something in Kanye when Kanye was a teenager. And he started filming, Kanye's journey. So shout out to Cootie, man. You all did a hell of a job. Congratulations on the Emmy. And there's one scene in this documentary, and his mom is talking about, how much success he's having, how popular he is, and he's become a huge, really a pop icon, musical superstar. And his mom said something that was so profound, and it reminds me of my mother, because she has this uncanny ability to always hit me with a pearl of wisdom when I really need it. Even though when I don't know I need it, she has this innate sense to know when she needs to tell me something. And Kanye's mother, it was clear, she had that same, like a spider sense. Maybe it's a mother's sense or intuition, a sixth sense, or whatever you want to call it. She said, Kanye, when the giant looks in the mirror, the giant sees nothing. The giant doesn't see him or herself as a giant. The giant just sees him or her as just themselves. That was really profound, because if you really think about it, what she was telling him, that no matter how the world sees you, because that could go in reverse. The world could see you as the drag, the lowest of low life. But just because the world sees you that way, that doesn't mean that you have to see yourself that way. And unfortunately, when his mom passed, he didn't have that person to ground him. And when you watch this documentary, you will notice, you will definitely, and it's dramatic. I mean, you can see it and hear it, that he really became a different person, and just emotionally and everything else you can see, it was like he wasn't the same dude, because he didn't have that one person. She did two things for him, like two things that my mother does for me. She was the wind beneath his wings, and she helped him soar to the highest heights, but at the same time, she was like his landing gear for an airplane. Because when you get ready to land, if the landing gear doesn't come down, if the wheels don't come down, and you land before those wheels come down, that plane is gonna crash and burn. But she was the wind beneath his wings, like a jet, but she was the landing gear to make sure that he could land safely back on the ground. So rest in peace, power in paradise to Mama Donda West. You remind me of my mom, and I'm blessed to still have my mom with me who's watching. Thank you for letting me be a part of your life. As always, God bless each and every one of you. God, most of all. Thank you for letting me do the Geno Jones Show. I come to you live Monday through Friday, unless I tell you there's going to be a special off day. Friday, so let me tell you now, Friday is going to be a special early edition of the Geno Jones Show. 4:30 as opposed to 6:30 Eastern Time, 4:30 Eastern Time this Friday only, but otherwise Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Please subscribe to the Geno Jones Show. Subscribe to the Geno Jones channel. Share, like, and binge watch this and every episode. Shout out to Mr. Markel Bailey, the official barber and hairstylist of the Geno Jones Show. Check him out on Instagram. Kel be cutting up because Kel be cutting up. KELBECUTTINUP. And Allie Jones, the official drip director, wardrobe consultant, stylist for the Geno Jones Show. She's on Instagram, L like Lexi, X like Nancy, C like Charlie, dot, was it LX? NC, so it's LX, it's Lexi, because this is a new one, L like Lexi, X like extra, dot, N like Nancy, C like Charlie, L like Lexi, underscore. So that's LX dot NCL underscore. Shout out to Mr. Bruce Gage, also wardrobe consultant, stylist to the Geno Jones Show. Check him out on Instagram, Miglio Di Mario. One more, MIGILIO DIMARIOUOMO. MIGILIO DI. It's an Italian name. MARIOUOMO. The next live edition of the Geno Jones Show is going to be Wednesday. Shout out to my working divas. I like to call Wednesday Working Divas Wednesday. I like to show a lot of love. I show love to the working divas every day. But Wednesday, we make it special and we give it a theme, that day a theme. Shout out to all the working divas who are watching me right now, or maybe in real time, or maybe you're watching me later tonight, or maybe you can't sleep tonight and you're watching me early in the morning. Maybe you're watching me in the office, in the warehouse, in your cubicle. Maybe you're at the airport. You're waiting on your flight, sitting at your gate, maybe on the plane or whatever you're doing. Maybe you can't sleep. Maybe you got your iPad in the bed. Got me there with you watching the show. However you watch the show, like Heavy D said, I got nothing but love for you, baby. I got nothing but love for you, mama. Thanks for watching, everybody. Want to shout out to everybody in the Groove Master Dre. There's my dude. Shout out to you too. In closing, as always, please be blessed. Everybody be blessed and pray for peace. See you live Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, right here.
Subscribe and tune in to the next episode of the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube.